We cover the latest topics and trends making waves across the sport and chat with our industry's most prominent leaders so your golf business stays one step ahead. Welcome to Golf Business Live, powered by Club Caddy. Here's NGCOA CEO Jay Karen and owner of Augusta Ranch Golf Club and Vice President of the PGA of America, Don Ray.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the July 2024 episode of Golf Business Live. I'm coming to you from the nerve center of my house, which actually, Don, 4 years ago, right now, this was my studio when COVID was still wreaking havoc on our industry and I couldn't go into the office. This was where my bunker was, and we started this show. I bet 4 years ago, we were still doing it weekly. So this background brings back some memories, but our show is powered by our friends at Club Caddy. Thank you very much, Jason and your team, for continuing to support this show. And this is where we discuss the happenings on the trade side of the golf business. I'm Jay Karen, CEO of NGCOA. The ham to my egg, Don Ray, Vice President of the PGA of America and owner of Augusta Ranch Golf Club in Mesa, Arizona. For those of you tuning in, whether it's on YouTube, Facebook, X, or LinkedIn, I finally stopped saying Twitter. I now say X. I think it's kind of I've been musked into saying X now. We invite your comments, and we will surface what we can during the show. We have some real fun guests today. We've got the Bryan brothers coming on here in a few minutes. We've got some industry things to talk about. But, first things first, Don, I know you're not in Mesa, Arizona right now, but certainly tell us where you are and tell us how things are at the club. I mean, it's summertime in Arizona.
Yeah, no, New York City right now. Got a big announcement tomorrow at noon. We're going to go over to NASDAQ and announce who the Ryder Cup captain is. I just was following the social media. There is all kinds of activity, people trying to leak the story. I'm just going to say no comment. I do know that the process has been really cool. It's kind of cool to be in the middle of that room. Did I ever think, as somebody who started in the golf business, 20 years ago, that I would be on the committee that would select the Ryder Cup captain? So it's kind of cool to been going through this whole process, trying to keep the secret as long as possible, and then and to be there at the announcement tomorrow will be great. But Augusta Ranch is great. Actually, it was there for the past couple of weeks. I actually had a break in all my travel. This is a long travel for me. I leave here. I go to Frisco, Texas tomorrow to do my master professional presentation. I've always wanted to be a master professional of the PGA of America and had committed that I would do it before I was president. And so tomorrow I've been working on it. It's 15,000 words. It is this thick. This is my master professional. Look how thick that thing is, dude. It's a lot of work.
Dissertation? Is it kind of like a dissertation where you had to pick a topic and dive deep into it?
Well, yeah. You know what? On the executive management side, you dive into kind of the business of your business, which is, okay, I've been running the business. I know all that. And mine is a people-centered approach to running a significantly successful business. So the power of people. So I don't think I'm really defending it, but I present it on Wednesday. Hopefully, I become a master professional if I can get through the 60-minute. I got a 39 slide deck that I have to talk about. I mean, there's a lot going on. And then I go to the Open Championship. So we'll do a PGA World Alliance meeting over there at Royal Troon. I'm excited to see all the PGAs globally. But Augusta Ranch, it's still, I hate to always keep saying it, but obviously it's 118 degrees in Phoenix right now in Mesa, and it's hot. And yet every night that top tracer, those bays are full. I mean, I cannot tell you the diversifier of income that top tracer has been. So whatever technology you go with, in-range, top tracer, TrackMan, I mean, you do what you want to do. Obviously I did top tracer. I think it's awesome. I'm excited. Angry Birds is getting released later this year. But it just continues to the business is different since I got elected secretary. To be honest with you, I've never seen it so busy at night at Augusta Ranch in July when it's 100 degrees at 9 o'clock at night. It's crazy.
That's good news, right? And it's all a matter of how do I manage this increase in demand and nighttime hours, which a lot of golf courses have never had to manage nighttime hours. A lot of public courses haven't. So interesting phenomenon in our industry. So there are two bits of news items or things that I want to cover before we bring the brothers on. One is the recent announcement of Seth Waugh's departure as PGA of America CEO. So, after 6 year good run during some really really interesting times, the move to Frisco. And I don't remember when the media deals back, were falling back then around his coming on board, but the move to Frisco was big. And then all of a sudden COVID, impacts the golf. So, certainly going to miss my friend over there. Talk to me about this.
It was actually 9 years. He spent 3 years on the board of the PGA of America, and then he was named the CEO. So I've known Seth a long time. His time on the board equaled my time on the board. So really his 9 years followed my 9 years. And, certainly, yeah, he let the board know a little while ago, that this is what he was going to do. We kind of waited to announce it just to get past our championships. Didn't seem fair, to all of our championships to make it about Seth. Seth would never do that. He did a lot of great things for the PGA of America. And so as he told our board what his decision was going to be, then we just started working through the process. Obviously, Kerry Haig's going to be the interim CEO until we get a CEO. That we think that process will probably take 6 months, maybe 9 months. We have hired a national firm, Spencer Stewart, to help us with that. We're using internally ExecuSearch, which is something we use to get PGA golf professionals really good jobs. So, hey, I think PGA member could do the job. We just want the best person to do the job. But in the meantime, just want to make sure the culture's strong, which is why we, tapped Kerry on the shoulder and said, hey, can you be the interim CEO? So, yeah, it's kind of parting is such sweet sorrow. Seth did a lot of amazing things for the PGA of America. He decided to grow his hair out a little bit and hit the beach. He said he's going to spend a lot of time at the beach with his family. The guy worked all the time. So it's exciting for him, to kind of spend more time with Jane. He has an amazing marriage with Jane, and he loves his kids. And so I know he'll be spending a lot of time on the beach between now and Labor Day. And we'll just keep stepping forward. I think we had a succession plan and we knew how it all worked. And so we were prepared for it. But, when he told us, it was like, okay, it's happening. So let's do everything we can to make sure the 31,000 PGA members are served during the process of hiring a new CEO.
Good. Well, I can certainly say that he's been a good friend to our association, to the owner operators, and making sure that PGA and NGCOA were tight on a lot of issues together and in lockstep. And so I appreciate what he saw in NGCOA and making sure that was a priority. Fondest wishes, man, to that guy. And Kerry Haig is a consummate gentleman, just super, super nice guy. Always has been great around the board table when I've been there. And so look forward to seeing him hold that wheel while you guys figure out the search. So the other thing I want to just mention, and I want the Bryan brothers to maybe listen in on this a little bit, is now they're golf course owners and operators. Even though it's a private club, there are
right.
This cuts across every type of facility. So last week I dug up my spring column from Golf Business Magazine on price and pricing of golf these days. I mean, green fees and dues and you name it, whatever. Whatever golfers are paying to play golf these days, and how it's on the rise for sure. Although I saw today from the guy at Perfect Putt, Jared, kind of said that actually the price of golf has not kept up with inflation. It's still a little bit below inflation, believe it or not. Even as much as we've been enjoying some price increases. But basically, what I put out there, Don, and this got more impressions and interactions on LinkedIn than any post I think I've had. Maybe since I was criticizing Golf Now for their Golf Pass program, but we won't go there. We won't go there. But I already did. But it was about price, and I said started the article by saying, "Here I am at Starbucks. I just paid $7 and something cents for a cup of coffee," and my first reaction was, "What the, really? Did I just pay this?" And then I stopped and I thought, "Well, hang on a second. From a business owner perspective, what does it cost to deliver this? What am I, what's the total value of this?" And well, hang on a second. I've been representing business owners for 27 years, and I know everything that goes into putting a product out there, even if it only costs $4 or $100 or whatever. And I had to remember that and think, relax. I'm going to be sitting here for 3 hours working, not just a cup of coffee. I'm going to use their air conditioning. I'm going to use it. And it's like, this is cool. I'm okay with this. And so I was basically signaling to owners and operators, when you're thinking about pricing, because there could be a turn in the economy at some point, and owners and operators pull that price lever first, sometimes thinking, in order for me to keep demand high or stimulate demand, I got to lower the price. That's going to get them in the doors. And I argue that that's not, that does not apply to the golf economic formula. But to remember, owners and operators, everything you got to do to put into opening those doors every morning when you think about what should I price, not just what golfers are willing to pay for, but I have to respect my business here, right? And it got all kinds of comments and what have you. But I want to ask you, my only concern, the red flag in the back of my mind, is this potential of accessibility to golf if we remain expensive, or if we're seen as, it's always been one of the top three things. Golf's too hard, it's takes too much time, it's too expensive. We could always argue you can go play golf for actually about as cheap as you want to. You just got to find the right place, the right time. But if the entire floor has been lifted by 20% or more, in some cases doubled pricing and what have you over the last 4 years, I can see there's a concern for economic accessibility to the game. What are you seeing, and what does your instinct tell you about what's happening?
Yeah, I love the Warren Buffett quote, price is what you pay, value is what you get, right? I mean, certainly you have to figure that out. I will say too, dynamic pricing, demand-based pricing, whatever you want to call it. To me, I call it personal pricing. I mean, if you're time sensitive and you have to play Saturday morning, then yeah, I'm gonna hit you pretty hard. I mean, because I can sell that tee time all day long, right? And now if it's a time that's hard for me to sell, and you're a price sensitive person, then I'm gonna have a time for you. You just might not play at that prime time that you're used to playing in. So I really think it's personal pricing. But to your point, it's so easy, isn't it, to talk about rounds and revenue? And that sounds great. Like, doesn't that solve everything? It doesn't, because profit is profit. Take home pay is take home pay. Whether you're signing the front of that check or the back of the check, I mean, it's a real deal. And, our labor at Augusta Ranch with Top Tracers come in, and, I gloat. Oh man, we're killing it. Probably 600 grand in range revenue this year when it used to be 100 grand. That's all awesome. My payroll's up $500,000 this year. That's a fact. It's up $500,000 over last year. So, hey, that power of the small business owner, right, James? Power of the small business owner. That's what we do. But I have a lot of people working there now, and so expenses have gone up. My seed cost used to be $26,000 to oversee the golf course. Now it's $85,000. I mean, these are real numbers. Yeah. And so, I don't think you have to be shy, but I think you can, talk to your consumers, talk to your guests, talk to your golfers, just educate them. Like, hey man, did you see what I did with Top Tracer? Invested $500,000 so you could have fun with your family. See what I did with the bunkers? See what I did with that drainage area that's been wet forever? Spent a bunch of money to move that water someplace else. So, I think the key is to explain how you're spending this money, but also tell the truth that you might be making more revenue, but you're not making more profit. You're just still trying to hang in there. And by the way, big election happening in November. So it's all right to put a little money in the bank right now, because who knows what's going to happen in 9 months.
Yeah. So the one point I always like to leave with folks, and we're going to bring on the brothers here in a second, is the reason why golf does not subscribe to the price elasticity of demand formula, where basically people will buy 2 luxury items if the price cuts in half. Wow, I can get 2 of these now, right? Okay, makes a lot of sense. If golf cuts its price in half, problem is time. Golf has the time factor, this variable. If we're thinking of like an algebraic equation, it's got this X in here that screws it all up, because just because you lowered golf from $50 to $25 doesn't mean I now have time to play 2 rounds of golf this week. All you did was lower that round from 50 to 25 for me. So thank you very much. So we have to remember that pricing does not overall on the bell curve stimulate demand in this industry. So we just got to be mindful of that. Okay. So, and I want to hear what the brothers have about pricing too.
Let's get these boys on, man. I got to talk to these guys. I mean, they got a bunch of followers. Did you see how many? On YouTube, they almost got 400,000. On Instagram, they got 275,000, and they make golf fun, which we need more of. So I'm pumped for these guys.
Without further ado, let's bring the brothers on. Taylor, there we go. George and Wesley. Hey guys, it looks like you guys are.
Wesley's jacked. Oh, there he is.
There we go.
Awesome. Guys, welcome to Golf Business Live. We appreciate you being here. Just as a little bit of an intro to our audience, 2 very successful professional golfers in your own right. And I love on your website, the bio, where it says that Wesley actually won the 2017 RBC Heritage. I thought, it was not expected. The language, you guys are self-deprecating, you're hilarious. And you've got one hell of a following for golf. And that's actually something I want to talk about, is this fun equation and how it's a double-edged sword for us right now. But welcome to the show. We brought you on mostly because you're the new owners of Salina Golf Club outside of Columbia, South Carolina. And you've partnered up with Greg Middleton, a local business guy there, an investor. So you got a high-end private club there. So guys, welcome to the show. And you know what? Let's start off with, what has it been like to be a golf course owner operator now? Is it everything you expected, or has it been kind of that money pit, movie of a nightmare for you guys?
You want me to kick this one off, George?
Yeah.
Well, when you call us owner operators, I really wouldn't call us much of either. Greg has stepped in. I mean, he's owning and operating that thing. But what we have done is we've utilized it a lot to play a lot and film a lot. And really, we're just partners in the whole deal, trying to really. It came together about 18 months to almost 2 years ago. We just wanted to fill a need that we saw in the Columbia golf market, and that was to create a club and experience and a golf course that was I'm not going to say like high end, but just somewhere that would mimic some tour playing conditions. Very good greens is something I feel like the area on a consistent basis was lacking. A club that felt like a really good hang, with kind of the way golf is changing to like that young, vibrant, fun golf vibe. And so we wanted to fill that void, as well as just create an upper golf experience.
Sure.
If you will, that I felt like the area was lacking. And so when this opportunity came about, we jumped all over it. Never thought in a million years that George and I would get into the golf course architecture side. That was nothing that ever really interested me. But when I would play places, I would start to be like, oh, well, if they moved tee box here, took down this street, like I always kind of had that thought in the back of my mind that would be fun, but it would be too much to tackle. And when we stepped on property, it was a place that we grew up at, but I just hadn't seen it since I was 8 years old. And when I started to see the vision, and when I started to see it, Mr. Greg Middleton, his pocketbook started to suffer a little bit. But again, we just wanted to make sure we filled a void in our area. And that phrase, if you build it, they'll come. We're trying that out right now. So as of right now, I feel like it's going better than we could have ever hoped.
That's great. George?
Yeah. And it's kind of cool because, again, we have no idea what we're doing. Greg didn't, I mean, he's not, what value that we brought to the table was way more than what any dollar amount that we could offer. He believed in us, kind of going on the new age golf. It's like, hey, we know what you and Wesley bring to the table from a social media, from a presence here in the state, from nationally with YouTube and everything else. Like, come in, and that's what you're gonna help be the marketing arm or just the pretty faces to this. And we want, obviously me and Wesley bought into the whole thing, but like he bought into us in kind of a new age way where 15 years ago people like, hey, well, you're not getting involved in this unless you pay X amount of dollars. He's like, hey, you come do what you guys do best. I'm gonna do what I do best, and we're gonna create an awesome golf club. And again, like Wes said, we're 18 months in. And I feel like from the condition wise, the course is already, I mean, it's insanely pure for having grass 8 or less than a year, I think, or just over a year. I can't remember what it is on the property.
One growing or one half a growing season.
Yeah. Half a growing season. But then on top of that, like, I don't know how many members we have, but people are getting excited about it in the area. So it's been cool. Then, like, it checks all the boxes. It's a great golf course. It's fun. It's hard from the tips. And it's the same bones as what was there prior that was already a great golf course. So it's been a cool, fun journey. And it's cool to partner with someone that believes in what we're doing and lets us do what we do best. Not, just, hey, you promote this, you put on your channels, your platforms, help us grow. And in the end, it's going to be a win for everyone.
It was called Indian River.
First off, George mentioned about it being hard, and I cannot even tell y'all how many times through the process, George, when we were starting moving tee boxes back and making greens a little more severe in spots and around the greens, George's like, "You're making it too hard. Nobody's gonna have fun playing it. Like you've made the golf course too hard." And again, those were like fun times that we got to have just in a project that, again, 5 years ago, if you told us we were going to embark on this, we would have never believed you.
Welcome to the tension that exists in the business of a golf course. Of it's too hard, it's too easy, the dress code's too strict, it's too loose, music, no music. I mean, these are the things that our members deal with all the time, and which way to go on these things, right? And so you're experiencing that yourselves. Was there any major disagreement between the two of you about what should happen out there?
No. Because I let you, like, honestly, I was like, hey, Wesley's vision on the golf course, like, kind of design, like redesign or tee boxes, kind of let him do all that. I didn't really have a care one way or the other. And again, he was passionate about it. I was like, hey, he's got good eyes. He has a good vision. Let him and the staff run with it. But as far as this, just like, there hasn't been anything. I just kind of default to Wesley. Him and Greg have a good relationship, and Wesley, Greg trusts Wesley. Wesley trusts Greg as far as what they, their vision. So there hadn't been any major like arguments at this point for us. Now, who knows, behind the scenes there might be a lot going that I have no idea about. But from what I know, it's pretty deep.
Well, so I met your dad. I met your dad at the Carolinas section PGA section meeting. I guess probably about a year ago or so. I got some Columbia area connections with Rock Lucas, owner of Charwood Golf Club. He's been on our board. He was president of our organization a number of years ago. And your dad is a longtime teaching professional. He actually taught at that club or that course years and years and years ago when it was Indian River. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's correct.
How much input has he had?
First pro. None. We don't let him have any input.
He is a figurehead at best. He literally calls himself a professional greeter. So he just is making sure everybody smiles when they come through the doors. And he's been teaching some lessons out there and just riding around and playing golf with people. But again, he's kind of a liaison in charge of just setting, from the time people get on property, just setting that culture, setting that warm, welcoming, checking in on everybody. He's a very relational human. So as far as being the first line of defense, you got to get through him to get to the club.
Yeah. That's great. Well, so we have Don Ray here, who has a dual role here, and I want Don to certainly chime in and ask anything about the owner side of things, and what they're experiencing. But also, he's going to be president of the PGA of America here real soon too. So if you got questions for him, now's the time to ask.
Oh yeah, we have. Trust me, we don't have questions. We have suggestions. We'll get there.
Hey. I'm in too. It's funny. I do. I run a par 61 golf course, and to me, that's why I ran for the board, and that's why I ran to be secretary, 4 years ago. And the way the PGA works is, once you're secretary, in 2 years you're the vice president, and 2 years later you're the president. So, when I was in that room as a public golf course guy, just grew up loving golf. It was like, how come we don't do certain things? Like 9% of the population plays golf, and we're happy about that. I mean, golf is cool. How can 1 out of 100 people play it? Are you kidding me? I mean, this is ridiculous, right? Or 9 out of 100, right?
Yeah.
So what I'd ask you is, because I've always tried to create fun at Augusta Ranch, and it's funny, when YouTube, I mean, I'm not that old. I mean, I'm 57, but when Facebook, when I used to do that, then I got on Instagram, and I was just trying to make it look like golf was fun. And I tried to engage some of the people, because what I found out is, like, Facebook was just old people like me. Instagram were the young people. So I started talking to the staff at Augusta Ranch. I go, tell me what I'm doing wrong, man, because no cap. I mean, half the words they use, I don't even know what they mean. My drip, that Don, you got a good drip. What's my drip? I have no idea. George, I have no idea. But what I will say is, I'm kind of curious. When you're a golf course owner, you ain't got a lot of money. You are trying to push it into conditions because that's your product. But, the social media stuff's kind of difficult if you're doing it yourself. Mm-hmm. Do you have a marketing company that helps you with that? Or do you guys are just like, let's go hit some shots. Let's try a 140-yard putt. Let's see what's happening. I mean, is there some strategy behind it? Or is it like, let's just have fun and start filming?
Strategy whatsoever.
Really?
No,
I love it.
You're looking at it. Yeah, I think that's the it's the beauty of kind of what we're like. Again, marketing, I guess, in a way, that's kind of what we do. We could do for other people or other companies, but like, I don't consider myself any sort of knowledge in marketing. I just know we started off in the YouTube or social media scene 10 years ago, putting out fun things that people enjoyed watching and doing and sharing. And we kind of learned the ropes, I guess, over the years. And we just did things that, there's no like strategy per se. I mean, there is, but it's like, hey, how can we show Selena in a fun way, in a good golf course way, and just do what we do best and interject that into Selena socials. Now again, is there a time and place for the professional, more like, I don't know what you say, like we see the standard typical golf course social media, maybe, but like we're just gonna kind of do what people have enjoyed, through our social medias and just interject that onto Selena. Now we will make it button up a little bit. There'll be times where I try to make it look a little more professional, and but no, I think it is it's an interesting balance, because usually what happens is these marketing companies come into these golf courses who don't know anything about golf, and they just try to do what standard marketing things work, and it just is like, well, you might be knowledgeable outside of golf, but like this is not really what people in the golf world want to see, or it might not work. And so it is interesting to kind of.
And I will say to chime in, as far as marketing and social media is concerned, one, the most important step for us is just being authentic, being who we are, just do what we would normally do. But second is really getting to know your audience and listening to them. And George has done. We've always, since day one, called him the scourer. I mean, he'll read every single comment, no matter if there's 2,000 of them or 10 of them. He'll read every single one of them. He emotionally gets affected by them, which also leads to action. But listening to the audience is huge. And so we've done that through live streaming. We've done that through content. We've done that just through being out and about at golf courses and listening to what people have to say and giving feedback. So just being authentic and always listening to your audience, I feel like are two things that when it comes to marketing, you can't go wrong.
Give me an example of where you've listened to something, some random schmo in the middle of Nebraska said something and you made a change. Like this is real. Like this was good advice and we did something about that.
Who knows? Probably just probably talking
George,
to
tell him about how you'd read all the comments about how I was a horrible person and I was mean.
Oh, but
towards you.
Yeah, again, our relationship is naturally just very harsh and throwing jabs. Again, that's just who we are. But sometimes it doesn't portray that or it doesn't come across that online, and it'll make Wesley look like a very mean person, doesn't love me, and it's just like very great. Like it's too aggressive. So I was like, Wesley, let's just tone it down a little bit. I know I'm fine, but like I think it might make for a better viewing experience if you just like taper yours down, be a little more positive, a little more uplifting at times. And honestly, it kind of like it's made the content way more enjoyable. Now again, he's not changing who he is. We're just kind of like dialing it back a little bit and making it more, instead of like the typical brother thing, it's just a very positive, enjoyable. Now again, we do still have the ribbing and the in the verbal boxing matches that occur on occasion. But that's one. But then there's a few videos where again I talk a lot, and again in editing you could edit this out, but some of it gets thrown in there. I'm interrupting people, or like they're not finishing. I'm like, go to the next thing, because again my brain is all over the place. And there was it was actually with John Rahm. Like a lot of the comments were, George, why don't you stop talking? Let people finish. Or how about not interrupt the Masters champion when he's telling a story? Like all these things. Like, dang it! Is that like
just interrupt and talk about your golf shot?
Yeah. No, but I think it is again it's a healthy balance to like it builds that connection with the audience. Like it, because again we can have a tendency of just making, like you put a video out there and you don't care about them, and it's just let them consume it and you move on to the next thing, instead of like actually getting in the trenches and like, hey, how's your day? How you doing? Like just like building that connection, which I think is the most important thing. What we do is like the community that we want to build is something that we're all a part of, not just like we're using people for views and clicks. And it's like, no, we want to build a fun golf community, and that we're just happen to be the glue that, for better or worse, holds it together.
No. I got something. Jay, I have to ask this question. Just because I saw you guys got to bite your lip. Like, what if you were going to be I'm going to be president in November. We got the rollback of the ball. We got live, piff, all that junk that's going on. Is golf not fun anymore? Is it fun? Do we need to make it younger? If you were president of the PGA of America, what would you do?
I would.
Wesley,
I'm going to ask you, Wes, first, because Wesley.
No, do not do that.
You first, and then you, George. You're president of the PGA. What's your first 100 days
This
look
is a
like?
can of worms. I don't know if you want to open. I don't know.
This is what this show's about.
Oh, I'll tell you what. The first thing I would do is I would get in the organization in which I represent and I'm a part of. I would get in their ear a little bit and maybe help come alongside to help them make decisions, because I don't exactly know what they're doing, and I don't think they know what they're doing. As far as the PGA Tour is concerned, PGA of America, I feel like y'all got it. Y'all put on a couple fantastic events a year, and then y'all plan one every couple years. It's amazing, and I feel like there's no real complaints one way or the other, because you just stick to what you've always done. You just play competitive golf tournaments with the best players in the world, and that's just what you do. You don't go gimmicky or try and change up a lot of things or appeal to certain players or whatever. So I would probably just figure out a way to communicate some of your strategies with our people. Probably shouldn't have said that. Maybe I'll get a letter. Who knows? But
yeah, I guess you
really,
are kind of a PGA Tour player again now. You haven't
yeah,
been one
I
much
know. Yeah,
years, so.
believe it or not. Speaking of being in the trenches, that's where I'm at. But again, it just comes to listening to your audience, and it's not necessarily getting younger. Getting like at this point, I feel like everybody that's playing golf is using a rangefinder, and again, just using rangefinders in tournaments instead of just sticking to what we've always been. I feel like the more progressive you can be, that's going to appeal to the larger audience, is the direction it needs to go. And I feel like the PGA of America obviously has taken that step. It's nice seeing people in the PGA Championship out there with rangefinders, and so again, they're going to argue pace of play, not pace of play. Is it devaluing a caddy? Is it all this stuff? It's just how we all play golf. It's how everybody plays every single round of golf, unless they're in a tournament setting. So it's just little things like that, like the things that, again, a lot of the rules changes that feels like they're letting logic win, with some of the rules infractions that have been loosened up on. But again, just going with logic and going with what people like to consume. And I would probably start training these kids and figure out the ones that, at least that are pushing the game forward, the best players in the world, and get them more comfortable doing content in a style in which we do it, instead of just seeing them hit golf shot. I'd like to get to know the individuals that are carrying the game that people are watching, more in tune with. And again, structurally, no clue what's going on. Logistically, got no clue how to carry on those operations. Operationally, no idea what I'm doing. But again, just listening to the audience.
That's well said. I think my number one would be next year. We have this series on YouTube where we travel around and play major championship courses and see if we can make the cut. And so I think just bringing us on, the PGA has a major. I don't know, there might be some more official. What, is that too much, Wesley? Is this too much
Okay, so hey, is there any way that y'all can just be our tee time booking agency and block off golf courses and make sure that we got the rights to fly drone and film?
What's the PGA next year?
Quail Hollow. Yeah, I'll be president. It's going to be epic.
Oh,
man. It's going to be awesome. Yeah.
That course is too hard. But we can. Well,
you know me now. I don't know what tee times I can get you, but I can tell you this: if you make golf fun, that's all I'm about. I got 2 years to be president, and I just find it a shame that sometimes they think our game. It's obviously the recreational side is fun, the competition side is fun, but the whole thing is fun, whether you're playing with your grandfather or your grandkid, right? And so that's all I want to push, and you guys push that narrative, which is why I dig you.
Well, let me talk about that, because one of the problems we're having, George and Wesley, is I say problem. It's kind of a 30,000 foot level issue. Is you guys you guys and others like Eric Underslang with Random Golf Club, and just like all of these social media stars have presented this image of golf, because that's what you want to do. Is it is fun, it is loose, it is all of these things. And while you are creating a course where that is welcome and encouraged, right? You're going to be filming this stuff at your course. Yeah, 15,000 golf courses in America. And what I'm worried about is someone 22 showing up at a public golf course that's not, which most of them don't yet kind of embrace that level of looseness and fun and whatever it might be, and say, well, wait, there's a disconnect here, right? And so our job, Don and me here, as you're hearing, is to connect the dots for these owners and operators. So what are some of the things that any owner operator can do to start encouraging that fun aspect, that anti-stuffy, although there's a role for all of this, in the industry.
Yeah.
But for the public course, these folks that are catching onto you and want to go try it out, what should they encounter when they get there that matches this vibe with the experience?
Yeah, I mean, I think I feel like it's really simple, because when we've been every single golf course, you can, like, the most elite to the most, the rundown muni that you can imagine. And so we know, like, we just know golf, and we've seen it all, experienced it all. And I think it's just very easy. It's just being, from the very top of the chain. It's like being a good person, being like intentional, kind, and like you can see, like, when you walk in the door, like, one of the better examples, like Old Edwards in North Carolina, very, very high end private club in the mountains. But as soon as you walk in through the door, it's like this whole staff they don't make you feel little. If you've never been in a course, like, they would never make you feel like, oh, you've never been to a nice private club. It's like, oh, how you doing? Welcome. So glad you're here. How can we help? And so just as soon as you walk in the door, feeling like you belong and welcome. Whereas I feel like a lot of these public courses and privates, the people that have never played golf walk in, they're just greeted with like, oh, well, this is how you have to do it. This is what how you're supposed to act. And like, so it's very intimidating, and then, not nice. I don't know. It's just being kind, nice, setting that vibe, like, as soon as you open the door, I think is a massive deal. But I don't know, just like, have an open mind. Like, if someone wants to dress a little different, or act, as long as they're being respectful, film the divots in, not clogging up the golf course, be okay with it, like,
take care of the course, and play fast. And honestly, what YouTube has done a really good job with, I would say most of the formats when we have a foursome is some form of a scramble, or what you would call captain's choice, or whatever, like, just introducing formats, or alternate shot, where you can go out there with your buddies, and it's not 4 people having to play their own golf ball and finishing out. Like, the biggest pace of play thing is that you could, especially with beginner golfers, it's just by changing the format, go alternate shot or go scramble, and have it competitive with your buddies. And so, again, I got to Puerto Rico this year, my first tour event of the year. And I realized when I was there playing the first round that I had played one round of golf where I played 18 holes in my own golf ball. And this was at the end of March. And so 3 months had gone by, basically, and I'd only played one round where I'd played 18 holes and finished my ball out, and that was in a Monday qualifier. Because I'd been playing scrambles and alternate shots and filming. We only had 11 holes at our course open, so I'd play there with my buddies. And so, format change is huge. I feel like moving in the growth of the game, because bringing that team aspect into golf, that's what I like most. That's what I think is competitive, is when you get to do it with a teammate. So,
well, 2 things on that, Wesley. One is the PGA of America has done a hell of a job making golf as a team sport with Junior League golf. It's it's turned into a team sport for you. So that is awesome, that's a game changer for the future for sure. So now you can get a jersey with your name on it, your number on it, just like lacrosse, baseball, soccer, etc. So that's a wonderful thing. I'm going to bring to my home exactly what you're saying. My wife has been around this golf guy for almost 30 years, and never really wanted to do it. She finally, during COVID, as millions did, she kind of gravitated towards it because her girlfriends brought her out for 9 holes, little drinking, but they played the captain's choice format in that 9 holes, just casually. You don't see anybody doing out there. People play captain's choice in the charitable outing, in the corporate outing, but they don't do it and PGA professionals and others should be encouraging the beginning golfers, go do that. And that was a game changer for her because it took the pressure off her and she got to contribute a few holes. They use her drive or whatever, but even if she screws it up, let's go to the best ball. And it was a game changer. Yeah. So you really hit on something there.
Do you think that part of that is if someone's going to be paying $70 for a round of golf, that they want to be able to go out and shoot a score and tell people about it? I wonder.
That's the experienced golfer. I think that's the experienced golfer. The new guys, I don't think that's not a calculus in their mind.
I don't know, man. I feel like those guys that are out trying to break 100 for the first time and they've been playing for like 6 months, I feel like they're just going to continue to grind that out. I just wonder if on the public side, if there was special rates for people that were wanting to go out and play alternate shot with their buddy to play faster and do all that stuff. If there was,
that's a good point.
I don't know, some incentive from the owner operator side, which we're as a private club, we're not going to be charging day rates or whatever. So I just wonder if from a operational side, if that could help up with pace of play and get more people in the door.
For me, I can't agree with you better. I just think that as a PJ golf professional, you take one of your students on the golf course and play a 2-person scramble. I mean, you get to explain what shot you're about to hit. Like, they can't read a putt. They don't know what they're going to do with chipping. They can't visualize. We all know this, right? I mean, you're looking from the green back to the tee, not for them. They're like, I got to hit it as far as I can. It's like, well, what's your favorite yardage? Well, I love my 8-iron. Well, let's hit it to the darn 8-iron because you're really good with that darn thing. But I'm with you. I think the scramble side, it almost should be like the first 5 rounds of golf that you ever play in your life have to be with the scramble with the person that brought you to the game. Because even my daughter, I took her out in the afternoon, guys. I said, all right, honey, you're going to hit 2 balls every time. And then you're going to take the best shot, and we're going to see how good you can be. Because we all know that second person's awesome.
Yeah.
And she shot a really good score. And I said, so see, honey, you can be good. It's just that darn first shot sometimes gets you. And that's just practice. But I'm with you. I wish we would embrace the scramble format, whether you play by yourself and take 2 balls, in the afternoon, hour and a half left of sunlight, go out there and play 2 balls, see how good you can be. Or just playing with the buddy so they can show you what shots they're thinking. Because most of us aren't going to try to hit a bender out of the trees. We're just like, let's chip it to 100 yards and see what we get. The most I'm going to do is a bogey at that point. But I'm not going to try some hero shot. I think that would be so much. I'd love to see our PGA professionals promote scramble formats more when they're playing with their buddies or their students.
That's good.
There's your one suggestion, Don.
There it is. All right. I gave it to myself. You're supposed to give it to me. Yeah. I'm looking for you guys to enlighten me. You got to enlighten me, man. I'm telling you.
We just make YouTube videos. We just film ourselves on the golf course and put it on the internet.
All right. Well, now that's very humble, George. That's a very humble way of saying something that I think there's a seismic shift happening here. Okay, so social media has been around for 20 years. Facebook started in 2004, launched to the public around 2007, right? That was kind of the first major social media channel, in many ways. So social media has been around a long time, but all of a sudden now what we're seeing is, people get their news from X before they get it from the old mainstream, channels. Mm-hmm. They're getting their entertainment from watching clips on social versus tuning in at 9 p.m. on NBC, like a shift happening. So talk to me about that. Do you think this is the whole is greater than the sum of the parts, like together with mainstream media and social, it's lifting up everybody? Or do you feel like there's going to be, it's a zero-sum thing where the social and democratization of information and all of this is going to take over and dwarf, what was the mainstream media? What do you feel? We're in the middle of that, but what do you see?
Yeah. I mean, I just feel like YouTube, especially YouTube golf, social media golf. That's all. I feel like there's ups and downs, but YouTube golf is just a trend that's only going to keep getting higher and growing and catching, PJ Tour, I guess normal, traditional way, the way of viewing it, TV, telecast, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, because YouTube golf, the numbers that are being produced, and it's only getting more, and people are gravitating more towards, seeing that type of content to fill their golfing, needs or how they consume it. Because again, you're seeing some pretty high enough level golf on YouTube, but also you mix in entertainment and some pretty good production value in an hour to 2 hour little snippets versus, having a 4 hour telecast with not a lot of golf shots, no personality, and a lot of commercials. And it's like, well, I'll just watch a YouTube video. And so it's cool because, again, I believe like it's great for the game because, again, it's giving what people like Wesley, Bryson, myself, some pro golfers, Luke Kwan, some high level golfers that people can watch, but also kind of seeing how they just in a more casual way, maybe they give some insight here and there, but also get to know him as a person. People get to see and get to know Bryson from a personal level instead of just through a TV, which, in the past, the only way you'd ever get to really know your favorite golfer or golfer is just in the telecast when you're only seeing them hit golf shots. So I think YouTube is the train's only going to keep getting faster. I feel like it's going to keep growing and getting crazier. And it's, hopefully it's only a matter of time before the PGA Tour or PGA America, these other like the legit golf companies kind of embrace it and like, hey, how can we partner with what YouTube Golf has and grow together? So yeah, Wesley.
I feel like George hit it there by, if you just look at your average consumer, they only have so much time in the day to be able to consume content, whether that's watching a PGA Tour telecast, whether that's watching going to the movies or watching movies, or whether it's watching golf on YouTube or whatever sports. So they only have so much leisure time that they can give up. And when you see in a space where YouTube Golf right now, I feel like the videos are getting longer, they're getting better produced, and there's so many options out there now. As people continue to watch YouTube Golf, they're having to give up something. They're having to give up time where they go to the movies, or they're having to give up time when they're watching a telecast. And so I feel like part of the ratings that you've seen over the last few years on television going down is simply because people have gravitated more towards what George and I are doing, or what Grant Horvat's doing, or Michael Morris, or Good, or Eric Anders Lang, you can mention. They're watching these guys, and we can look at our watch time and watch hours and know that these guys are legitimately coming in and spending an entire day watching YouTube golf stuff throughout a week. And so they just don't have time in their day to go consume the old traditional golf media, golf telecast coverage style. So there's obviously a lot of opportunity for growth, because as it sits right now, myself and Akshay to a certain extent, and then Bryson DeChambeau are the only three professional golfers that are actually committing any sort of time towards driving out this type of content. And so I feel like as this younger, fresher crop of golfers are growing up and seeing what we're doing and being like, hey, that would be pretty cool. The opportunity for growth within YouTube Golf itself is only going to continue to grow. And as it grows, obviously the demand for a traditional telecast is going to decrease, in my opinion. So, and we're starting to see a little bit of that shift, and we're working with some great organizations. Like, we've got good relationships now, obviously. Don, thank you for the relationship with the PGA of America. But whether it be USGA, RNA, PGA Tour, DP World Tour, there's just been a lot of opportunities for us to be able to put out golf content for people to consume.
Yeah,
excellent.
Yeah, it's like, and for me, from a selfish standpoint, it's like I still have, I wouldn't say desire like Wesley to be on the PGA Tour chasing golf full time, but I still want to like compete at the highest level and see where my game stacks up.
You act like I have that desire, George.
I'm trying to be nice, all right? But no, so me like partnering with the PGA Tour and coming alongside to go to the John Deere and play a practice round or play a match on the tour course the week of a tournament, see it in tournament setup and conditions, and like test my game is cool for me to see that. And it's the PGA Tour has been great. I feel like the last year, kind of accepting us and wanting us to do things. And again, for me as a professional golfer, still with those kind of aspirations to like go get see and taste it is pretty cool. So yeah,
George, was that just a plug for people to go watch the video we just put out today with Neil Shipley from Monday at John Deere, playing a 1v1v1 all from the back tees on the tournament golf course with the tournament, which was really cool because a kid just turned pro, giving up an entire day of his preparation to come play a practice round with us and compete. But two, the tournament is able to use that sponsor's invite and be like, hey, this would be great if you could use one of your commitments that you owe us for the tournament to go out and play with these guys. And then the tour and the tournament believing in us to be the ones to help tell Neil Shipley's story. So that was really cool and a unique opportunity that we really ventured out and tried out for the first time this past week at the John Deere. And I feel like people's reception of that content is going to be great.
That's awesome. Don, any closing words for you as we have the brothers? I got something I want to close with, but anything you want to mention to these gentlemen?
No, I mean, hey, if you think of something, you're going to have my number after this. I just think keep doing what you're doing. To your point, I think, it's one thing like NASCAR, right? I couldn't understand why I'd go watch NASCAR. And you guys are from the South. But then I didn't know that you could listen to the radio frequency and hear what the driver was saying to the mechanic. And that's when I was like, I get it. Like, that's what's cool. I can listen to my favorite driver talk or yell or whatever to the crew of saying, this is what I'm trying to do. And I think, when the guys are throwing the AirPods in and they're walking down the fairway in the middle of a championship and saying, this is what's going on in my mind, I think for the recreational golfer, this is something no other sport can do. You're not going to talk to Joe Montana, during the football game. You're not going to talk to, any of the famous baseball players during the event. But during a round of golf, when your mind's all over the place and you got to focus shot to shot, we can actually showcase that in our sport. And I think the more that we do it, the more that we do it, like what you guys are doing too, whether it's from the tips or playing it from the 100 yards out marker. Like, what are you thinking? Where are you trying to go? I think that helps the recreational golfer go, all right. And that's why, like, when I think about the rollback of the ball and stuff, it kind of bums me out because I think that guy wants to believe that he's playing the same ball in the same club. And we know the shafts are different and they're a little bit, the equipment's different on the stuff you guys are using. At the end of the day, recreational golfers want to go, I played that golf course with that same Pro V1, and I might have shot 110, but man, I gave it my best. So I just think that's, you who I am now, and I really do. I want to further this connection because I think you're onto something, because you're taking this very competitive side of golf, but making it fun, which brings in more recreational people to like, hey, it's cool. I can enjoy this and maybe be a 20 handicapper, but every 20 handicapper wants to be an 18 handicapper. So how do I get there? And I think that's what's cool about this game is that we all help each other get there.
Yeah, that's great,
guys. Yeah, in this industry, we and you've heard this term before. We've said the Tiger effect. What was the Tiger effect in the late '90s? And this surge in demand 25 years ago, 27 years ago. That's the last time we saw a major surge in demand until COVID, right? And what I often say is the Tiger effect was great for bringing people in, but it had nothing to do with retention. We lost all these people, all those millions that came, we lost, and we had a decline in customer base. And I use this analogy. When I was a kid, Pete Rose was my favorite baseball player. I idolized this guy, so I thought, well, let me go play Little League. And I struck out every single at bat and walked once, when I was probably 10 years old, and I gave it up. I'm like, my love of Pete Rose has nothing to do with my ability to go into a diamond and succeed. And I lost it. And that happened with Tiger too, with a lot of people. Fast forward to today, and I'm not blowing smoke here, let's call it the Bryan brothers effect. And is because what Don is saying is that you guys are now at arm's length from the recreational golfer instead of being on another planet, right? And that we to the recreational golfer, Arnold Palmer, Greg Norman, and Gary Player and everybody kind of stimulated, like, I want to be like that, right? But it felt miles away. You brought it so much closer that the chance of connectivity and retention because of that, I'm going to go out there and, roll a 150-foot putt and see what happens. Like that. That's
150 yard.
Oh, sorry. That's what I meant.
Oh, man.
Hey, Taylor, can you please roll the clip?
You were just getting good. It's going to go right in the bottom of the hole, George. Come on!
My point is,
the
average golfer can relate to making that happen than, some pitching wedge at someone, Tiger hit 187 yards, and that's awesome stuff. That's a real few. So keep doing what you're doing because it's it's a source of fuel for the recreational golfer for engagement and excitement about this game. So thank you for what you do. Good luck with Selena. We're going to check in with you a year or 2 years from now. How's it going, guys? And then maybe you'll have some trials and tribulations to talk about, and maybe some success stories. But so thanks again for joining us on Golf Business Live, guys, and best of luck the rest of this year with all your pursuits.
Thank y'all so much.
Thanks for having us.
You got it. All right, audience, we'll see you next month. Take care. All right, everybody.